JJ Barnes. If you don't know me, I am the author of How to Write a Story, which is out now on Amazon. I take you from the beginning of your story through to the end, covering everything in between, hopefully to inspire you and make you feel confident enough to get your story out into the world. So today I'm going to be talking to you about your character's emotions, and specifically bumping emotional bruises. So I've talked a lot before about characterization, and I think it is one of the most important parts of your story, so that is why. Your characters, as they journey through your story, are going to be affected by incidents in your story. They also have been affected by their history, their backstory. So when they start your story, at the beginning of your story, your protagonist, your antagonist, any surrounding characters that are story relevant have a certain number of bruises on them. And when I say bruises, I don't mean physical bruises, I mean emotional bruises. Places that they have been bumped by pain. Now this could be heartache, it could be literal violence that has left emotional scars on them. It could be just any experiences really where they have been left marked and changed. It could be parents splitting up when they were children. It could be heartache from a relationship ending. It could be anxiety from being abandoned or from playground bullying, anything at all. Any incidents in their backstory, their history, that has left some kind of emotional wound, I'm going to be referring to it as a bruise, an emotional bruise. So they start your story, they are not blank slates. Unless you're writing like robots or some sort of like new being. Everybody is starting your story with a certain amount of history, a certain number of emotional bruises. As they go into your story, as they start your story, these emotional bruises are there. And if they get poked by a certain event in your story, it will affect how they react. So if you have a character, say, who has had a really bad emotional breakup where they have been left absolutely brokenhearted, and a character who hasn't ever had a terrible breakup, has had happy relationships or no relationships, or has always chosen to end their relationships on a very amicable level, when a love interest comes into their lives, those two characters are going to react differently. Because one has an emotional bruise that they are scared of getting bumped again and are very protective of, and the other one doesn't. So how they respond will be different. And this is a very useful way of making sure that your characters are unique and are different, because they are going to be protective over different bruises. So the character that has had emotional pain, the trauma, the breakup, agony, is going to be a lot more anxious about going into a new relationship. Is going to be more self-protective, is going to be more suspicious of potential pain. Whereas a character who has no emotional bruise from that experience in their past will go in more naively and willingly because they don't expect pain. So that is very, very important to remember. How they respond to situations in your story will be affected by either protecting a bruise that they don't want poked because they know it will hurt, or a lack of bruise that makes them completely willing and available to go into it. And this can be true of dangerous situations too. So someone has been very badly hurt from a car accident and someone hasn't. If a car is speeding along a road, the person who has been hurt badly in a car accident is going to be a lot more frightened than somebody who's never been hurt, because they have no experience of it. There is no bruise that can be poked by that experience. The other thing that's important to remember, once they go into your story, they are going to get more bruises. And that is how you change and shape your character through the story. That is how they grow and change and have a story arc. Because if they are not bumped at all through your story, they start your story exactly the same. They have got the same number of bruises, they haven't been changed and shaped. But changing and shaping your character, having them react to the events in your story, have them be changed as people, makes them more interesting. It makes your story more dynamic, because if nothing is bumping them, if they have no experiences that change them, then your story can't be that interesting, because we are changed by important events in our lives. They always change us, they always shape us. If your story doesn't, kind of suggests your story doesn't matter, because events that matter and change us are more interesting than events that don't. So you want your character to be changed by your story. So when you start writing your story, remember what bumps that they have from their history and make sure that they react accordingly. They have those bruises there, they don't want them bruised again. They're scared of those existing bruises getting bumped because they know it will hurt more because they have a mark there. And give them bruises and bumps through the course of your story that they are then changed and shaped by. They have to be bruised, they have to be marked emotionally, I don't mean physically, emotionally by your story, to change as people, to grow as people. And then by the end of it, they have started your story with this number of bruises, they end it with this number. And they are changed as people who are now protective of different wounds, have been shaped by different experiences. And yeah, that, imagining them as literal bruises that they don't want bumped, it helps me because I think if I have a bruise, I don't want it bumped because I know it will hurt. And it also makes me nervous about the situations that gave me that bruise. And that is true of emotion, that is true of pain, that is true of trauma. You don't want to get the same pain again, and you don't want the existing pain poked and made worse. So you avoid it, you're protective of it. Whereas the areas that you haven't ever been hurt in, the things that haven't ever damaged you, you're not, because you have no experience of it. And you know intellectually that there's potential for pain, but because you haven't got a bruise there to remind you, you go in a lot more naively, because how badly can it really be? Does this make sense? I hope so. This is something that I find really useful for me for the story arc and the growing and changing of my characters. So thank you very much for watching. I will be back again soon. If you subscribe to this channel, I'm putting out a video every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9:30 AM, and if you put on the little dingy bell thing, it will alert you when a new video comes out. You can also go to my website, which is jjbarnes.co.uk, and over there you'll find all the work that I have been working on. You'll find links to my books, links to my blog where I have more writing advice in blog form. There's also my photography and my art and all my social media, so you can come and chat to me, tell me what you're working on. Drop a comment below, tell me what you think. Do you have any videos you want me to do? Have you got any writing advice that you want explored? Any writers that you particularly love that you want me to talk about? And yeah, I will be back again soon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.